the bolded one that emphasize the analysis and recording of business transactions. So what happens when somebody buys a piece of equipment, or what happens if they sell some merchandise? We also go into areas such as financial statements, computerized versus manual systems. And the things that I think that are applicable to all students are we introduce them to some banking activities, how to make sure that what you think is in your checking account is what the bank thinks, as well as it's always an interesting opportunity for students when they realize that their payroll check might have things taken out of it. So we walk through some orientation of businesses and career orientation, careers that might be available. Accounting too moves them into more of the managerial, how businesses that have multiple departments might use it, and some of the procedures associated with that. And you can see some of the different things we focus on: inventory costing, procedures for corporations, and analysis. There are two career and technology, the CTSO, Career and Technology Student Organization, Future Businesses Leaders of America. That is the organization that helps students prepare and become community-minded relative to business in a global society. This is a great opportunity as a club for students to develop their leadership skills, participate in academic competitions, education programs, and then to be able to give back to the community. There are also awards and recognitions based on the achievements that they make in that. The interesting thing about accounting is that accounting actually falls under two CTSOs, these student-led organizations, the Future Business Leaders of America, as well as DECA. And DECA is more about marketing and entrepreneurship, but both of those have accounting challenges and competitions in them. Karen, I'm going to stop share.
Perfect. So next, Mr. Herney, if you want to do yours about entrepreneurship.
Okay, let me, can you guys hear me all right? Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm Richard Herney. I am a CTE teacher at Weddington High School, and I teach entrepreneurship, sports marketing, and principles of business. And with entrepreneurship class, let me pull that up real quick. You guys see my screen there?
I don't see your screen, no, sir.
Let me see if I can share it right. You guys see it now? Have you guys enabled screen sharing for actually?
Yeah, it's starting now.
Go. Yep, you got it.
Okay, sorry about that. Getting to entrepreneurship, it is offered as a regular class and also an honors class or a mixed. So there are a variety of, depending on the school and the number of students that they have signing up. The state curriculum you can see here, it's got 5 units. 2020 was a pilot year for this new curriculum, and with that they changed to where there is no longer a state final. There's a teacher-made final, but it is they have a what's called a PBM, and so the students have to complete the PBM in order to pass the class, and they have to get a 70%. And I'll get into the details of that here once I go through the curriculum. Unit 1, you can see there is basically the nature of entrepreneurship, different personalities and quality traits that are inherent in entrepreneurs. There's self-assessments to where they determine whether they would be successful in that, and different careers that are offered in that, or opportunities. Unit 2 is where we spend a lot of time. It deals with the lean canvas business model. The LCBM is the main focus, and it's the main part of the LCBM. They have to do or provide a written LCBM along with a oral presentation of that LCBM for their PBM. looking at Unit 2, you can see the design thinking process all the way until 2.05, where they go over the LCBM process itself, or the 9 components that make up the LCBM. Unit 3 is the marketing aspect of it. It says 25%, I'll be honest. I spent probably 20% first semester in Unit 1 and about 30% in Unit 2, and I spent about 10% in Unit 3. So that's something that they may have to adjust the weighting in the future, but that's feedback that I gave to the state. And then you see Unit 4 is the distribution aspect, channels of distribution. And then Unit 5, it talks about revenue streams and key metrics involved with the LCBM. Let me switch gears to the LCBM. You guys see that all right? Okay. The LCBM contains 9 sections, and in that section, the students have to come up with a problem and list 3 aspects of that problem. And then through the process, they have to identify customer segments, solutions to the problem. And then the unique value proposition is basically what makes their product or business model, I guess, separate from others, to where they are, it's going to be a business or product that is feasible. And then the competitive advantage, in other words, what sets their product off from the competitors. And then you can see the other aspects, the key metrics, cost structures, revenue streams, and then the channels of distribution. So like I say, we spend several days going over this. Each student has to produce their own written version of this, produce it, and then I review them, and they make edits and get them prepared for their oral presentation. Let me go over the rubrics for the oral presentations. This is the written rubric for the oral presentation. See, it identifies each of the 9 segments and then shows what they need to do in order to obtain either level 1, 2, or 3, or 0 level, or level 1, 2, or 3 in each one of those segments. And then here is the oral. I'm sorry. I think I pulled up the written. The oral is basically the same thing, but it talks about a little bit more of what they have to include in their presentation. It's a 5 to 7 minute presentation. With COVID, we decided as a district to record through Flipgrid. So all the students recorded their presentations and presented them to the teacher via the recording in Flipgrid. That's the LCBM. Let me also mention the credentials for entrepreneurship. There is an EverFi credential that is a venture, and students, there's 4 modules included in that, and they can receive certification and credentials in the for the EverFi module, or EverFi program.
Perfect. Mr. Herney, we're letting you about another minute or so, and then we can.
And lastly, as far as the classes offered, there's Entrepreneurship 1, and then the completer is Entrepreneurship 2. And that's all I had. And like I say, we'll take questions at the end. Thank you. I'll stop sharing my screen.
You are great. Thank you so much. And next, we're going to have Mr. Presson with Financial Securities.
Good afternoon. I'm David Presson at Monroe High School. Been teaching about 20 years. Before that, I was in banking and finance for about 20 years. I'm going to attempt to share my screen if it didn't go away. Can you see it? Is my screen up and running?
No, sir, I don't see
Can
it.
we give it a minute? I know his took a moment.
Once I hit share, then you have to click the button to show which screen you're going to share.
All right. Let's try that again. How about now?
I'm not seeing
I
it.
can't see it. Once I hit share, then I had to click on the tab that I was sharing, and then there's in the lower right-hand corner, there's a blue share button.
Okay. Got it. I see. Show all now. Let me try it one more time. Still not popping up?
No, sir, I'm not seeing it.
Of course not. Okay.
And Mr. Preston, if you could just kind of go ahead and start going through
Yeah,
there for a quick
I
time, that would be great.
Yeah, I am presenting about financial securities. And under financial securities, we have principles of business, which has been a course we've taught for years in Union County Public Schools. The other two courses are relatively new. They're new to this year, and they've basically replaced the personal finance class that we used to teach. They're Financial Planning 1, which was originally called Wealth Building, and Financial Planning 2, which was Wealth Management. The Principles of Business course is the introductory course into the financial securities pathway, and it is a prerequisite for the other two courses. In Principles of Business, which I've taught for a long time, we teach students effective communication skills, both verbal and written. We teach them about production and operations within a business, economic principles, which is really economics that, as a matter of fact, it's a lot better course than I actually learned in college. We talk about risk management, how businesses assess risk and decide how to invest their money, how to be most profitable. There's a marketing aspect that we touch on. We don't really infringe on the marketing pathway, but we do touch on it. There's also we get to touch in accounting and finance, but it's not a full-fledged accounting class by any means. And we talk about management duties and ownership structures. So it's a pretty broad-reaching class that gives students a good basic education in economics and why and how businesses exist. The first class in financial planning is an honors class. Like I said, it was called Wealth Building originally, and it's designed to introduce students to understanding how businesses and the people within those businesses design workflow. So it's really about a real business. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's mostly real life business flow, and a lot of cases. We'll talk about cases in both Financial Planning 1 and Financial Planning 2, so that it's more of a project-based learning than it is just teacher to student and then regurgitating it back. We talk about the role financial institutions play in the business environment, whether it's investment banks, commercial banks. We're going to talk about all of those so students have a good understanding of what financial institutions do and how best to use them. So really we're talking about entrepreneurship as well. And it helps the students to better recognize investment opportunities as they become available. They can assess the risk factors and look at the potential risk versus reward, and really learn how to study businesses to find out if they are a good risk to invest.
We've got about one more minute, Mr. Preston.
Thank you. We'll also talk about the ethical issues, and we'll give the students real world scenarios where they have to measure that the ethics and the stock market game, which is an ongoing part of this course, which I think the students really enjoy. So it's really their first true exposure to investing. And with that, I will bow out.
Thank you so much. That was great. And last, for business, we have Ms. Ellis with Business Management.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Barbara Ellis and I teach at Porter Ridge High School. And I did just click on my share button. So am I sharing my screen?
Yes, ma'am, you're good to go.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm going to talk about Business Management 1 and Business Management 2. These are also new courses that have been introduced. Excuse me, I'm clicking too fast. Introduced as new curriculums. Business Management 1 does have a prerequisite of principles of business, and the course is designed to introduce students to core management concepts, which include how managers plan, organize staff, and direct business resources that enhance the effectiveness of the decision-making process.
Miss Ellis, I'm not sure. What we see is your Zoom screen.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a different one.
Oh, I'm clicked on the wrong one.
That's fine. Just wanted to make sure you were. I know you were sharing some things.
Yeah, I'm glad I had something up that was right. Wait. Is that better? And then share. Boom. Is that better?
There you
Perfect.
go. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Phew. Okay. And I also want to show some of the information that is included in that by sharing the pacing guide. So for Business Management 1, included in some of those topics are managerial planning, considerations in organizing, talking about human resource management. We also have a large ethical portion in both curriculums where we're looking at real life ethical issues and scenarios that have happened with current events and current topics now. And the blueprint also gives a percentage of weight for each area, okay? We also have included in here a huge technology piece so that the students are looking at different simulations and doing a lot of their work on the internet, okay? That's for Business Management 1. Business Management 2, of course, the prerequisite would be Business Management 1. And in Business Management 2, we're looking at how management has organizations structured, understanding how managers control financial resources, inventory, how they ensure employee safety and protect consumer data, enhances that effectiveness of the decision-making process. That ethical portion is included problem solving, and there's a lot of group or teamwork that's included. And they also do great discussions regarding those ethical issues again. If I could share with you the screen for some of the detailed topics within Business Management 2, the concept of productivity, supply chain. They're also looking at inventory management. I mentioned already safe working environment. We do go into some scenarios of some things that have happened that have caused great tragedies or mishaps in real life business cases. They also talk about and learn things about information management, knowledge management, information about intangibles. So there's a lot of things that are surrounded around current events, I'll say within the last 5 to 10 years, to provide real life examples so that the students get a good aspect for business management and how important it is. The other thing that's wonderful about the business management courses is, of course, they are aligned with the CTSOs for FBLA and DECA. They also have a lab component where a lot of the information is coming from the MBA Research and Curriculum Center. And a lot of those modules are coming directly from there. So the assessments and the reviews and the discussions are coming from those labs. So it's an excellent resource for the teachers. And it makes it easier for the teachers to also come up with those current events, so they don't have to go back in time. And then, of course, there's other online articles. There's a lot of reading coming from current publications. And then there are 2 textbooks that are referenced. And if the teachers would like to use those textbooks, and if they want to get the online portion, that they can do that.
We've got about another 30 seconds to a minute. Then we'll take
And
questions.
then that's it. That's all that I have. And those are the resources for the textbooks. But I just want to say the one thing that I enjoy about teaching it is the labs that include all those real life business transactions and business things that are going on right now for current events. Yeah. Thank you. And that's
Thank
it.
you. Yeah, that was great information. So now we have a few minutes. I know the next session starts right at 4:30, so we do have about 6 minutes. If we have any questions, feel free to unmute. You can ask. If you want to chat, send them through chat. That's also something you can do, and then I can ask those to the teachers as well. So if anyone have any questions?
Feel free to unmute if you'd like to ask questions. If you are not comfortable unmuting, there is the link. And Karen, if you would post that again, just to make sure everybody has that in case they join late, for you to put questions into a document. We're going to take those and answer those questions, and we will be posting those on our UCPS CTE website sometime in the near future. So again, I want to thank our business teachers for spending a little bit of time, and give a few more moments for questions if there are any, while our firefighter, public safety, and law and justice teachers get geared up to go.
I do have a question. So we have someone that just asked, do the pathways run throughout the whole high school year?
I can maybe answer that question. So just to kind of give a definition of a CTE pathway. A CTE pathway is a series of courses that help students learn more information and grow as they go into a career and as they look into a career interest. So in our business courses, students can take multiple courses throughout their high school career. So if a student starts in their freshman year, they can take one of our courses freshman year. Then they can move into the level 2. Sometimes that can be sophomore year, and they can work their way all the way through. And there's going to be enough courses that they could continue through a pathway, CTE pathway, into what we call a major course. They can last into their junior, senior year. And we have many work-based learning opportunities that are out there as well, especially for our senior students, that allow them to kind of culminate into that type of opportunity. So I hope that kind of answered it. But again, it is just a series of courses that kind of build on each other related to a subject matter.
And another question, excuse me, my voice is going out. Another question that we've got a couple of times is dealing with, are there any courses in the business field for college credit? So I have answered a few people regarding SPCC, but I don't know if you want to elaborate for a minute on that, Brian.
So can you ask that question again, Karen?
So it's about college credit. So courses that would be available for that, what kind of programs that would be?
So there are what we call career and college promise. There are some of those type of courses we have out there. One of those things, what I would tell you to do is, as you get through some of the CTE pathways, you can speak with your CDC, your career development coordinator at your school. We have a few of those online, and they may want to just talk a little bit about that as well. So they can feel free to unmute as well. And we do have South Piedmont Community College career coaches that are in every school. They can work with them on some of those things. And we do partner with South Piedmont Community College, where there's opportunities for them to earn college credit related to some of our courses.
And one of the last question that I received, it says, can students take more than one pathway, or do they have to just follow one? So I did answer it for that person as well. But students can take courses in any area, whether it's business, marketing, family consumer science, medical, etc. They are not stuck in one pathway. We just, tend to encourage that if that's something that they're interested in, that they would follow courses that would provide that. But they are free to take courses in any area.
Yeah, and what we want CTE to be for our students is an opportunity for them to really kind of dip their toe in and see what they're interested in. And sometimes that may be taking some business classes along with a firefighter class or a law and justice class. It's their chance to really kind of learn, all the things that are out there and find out what really interests them for careers. Our goal would be for every student when they graduate high school to have a good idea of what they want to do, so they know whether they want to go straight to work, to a community college, or whether they want to go to a 4-year university to be able to pursue the career that they're interested in.
That's all that I have on my end.
Okay, well, if there's no more questions, I want to thank our business teachers for participating, and you guys are free to pop out. I know you guys have had a busy day, and appreciate again the time. We've got about 2 minutes, Mr. McLam, Mr. Salter, and we'll wait just to make sure some people, if they're interested in your session, to pop in and join. So we'll give them just a few minutes, then we'll let you guys get started right at 4:30, okay? And while we're waiting, if you haven't already done so, please check out our UCPS CTE website for the High School Programs Expo. There's some great videos that are in there, as well as information about the pathways for each of our program areas. So it's got some really, really good information on there that I would encourage everybody to spend a little bit of time with. There's also information in there about Career and College Promise, where you can learn about some of the things that we have going on with South Piedmont Community College. We also have a program called Major Clarity, which is a career exploration tool that all 6th through 12th grade students have access to. And there's some good information about that program. We would encourage you and your students to take a look at that. They can access that through Clever.
All right, do we get started on the next one?
All right, it is 4:30, so yes, ma'am.
All right, so our next we have firefighter, and then we're going to do law and justice. So we have Mr. Salter, if you want to begin with that.
Okay, thank you. How's everybody doing? Glad to be able to do this. My name's Chris Salter. I am the public safety and fire technology teacher at Sun Valley High School. Been here 3 years, starting my 3rd year, and I teach public safety and fire. We're going to talk a little bit about public safety, what we go over, and so it's police, fire, medic, military, law and justice. And then emergency management, which is a prerequisite to the fire technology classes. So, and Mr. McLam is also on here. He teaches that. He is the rock star with public safety and law and justice. So he's going to talk in a minute. But if you're interested in the fire academy, we do offer that here at Sun Valley. And we do allow, and Mr. Davis can tell you the exact term for what it's called, but we do allow other students from other schools to participate in that. I currently have a student from Cupperson right now in my program. So that's the Fire Academy, which we're going to talk just a little bit about that. It is certification based, which means it's regulated by the Office of State Fire Marshal, OSFM for short. You would come out of high school with a complete certification, fire certification, where you could transfer to a local fire department and pretty much ride a truck. I had a teacher's peer tutor that helped me, and she graduated high school last year and is working full-time at the fire department. So, and that is certification based. We have all the equipment here at Sun Valley. I have a huge support for the fire departments around me that help me out. They bring trucks if I need to. They'll give me equipment. So they're very, very supportive of this program. I've talked to several fire chiefs. They're on board. I'm actually in the fire service as well in Union County, and I've been doing that a long time. And I still ride a fire truck. When I get off of this meeting, I'm going to the fire station to work tonight. So, it's I think that the Fire Academy is like Mr. Davis said in the other session. You kind of get to see what it's really about, and you're also getting a certification tied to that with the Fire Academy, and it is typically 3 semesters. You can take it in 2, but it is typically 3 semesters, and you have to provide your own transportation. I probably should know a little bit more about that, but Mr. Davis can answer that question if you're worried about transportation.
And if you want me to chime in on that real quick, Mr. Salter. So what Mr. Salter is referring to is the CTE Academy plan that we have. And basically what that means is we have certain pathways that are not able to be offered in every location. So students can talk to their career development coordinator and they can fill out an academy application. And if they meet the criteria and they have the coursework that needs to be filled out there in some cases, they can be approved to be able to travel to another school to take a course. So, for example, if even in Mr. McLamb's class, if they took public safety at Cuthbertson High School, they could travel to either Piedmont or Sun Valley and take the firefighter program if that's what they're interested in. Or if a student at Marvin Ridge High School or Forest Hills High School is interested in the program, they may have to go take all the classes, including public safety, at one of those schools. So it does provide an opportunity for us to allow students from across the district to be able to do that. But again, I would encourage your student to get to know their career development coordinator. We've got some outstanding people that do that, and they can give some good guidance on what they need to do for the academy plan. And that would be for juniors and seniors only.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. So just to kind of give a brief rundown of the fire technology, it's broken down into blocks. So we would have different blocks, and some have practical, some do not, but they do have to pass with a 70. I know UCPS policy is 60 is passing, but for the state credentialing, you must make a 70 or better, which typically we don't have a problem with the students failing the written test. We do physical fitness. There's a lot of hands-on. Like I said, I have access to a lot of resources within the fire department, so they're actually putting their hands on real fire trucks per se and getting real world experience. So that's all I have for fire tech. I may chime in when Mr. McLam if he has something about public safety, but he's a rock star with that one.
He only says I'm a rock star because I've been teaching one more year than him. So but actually, honestly, Mr. Salter knows everybody in Union County. It's the benefit of taking a class in this pathway is that, I don't hate to brag on my own category or my own section of CTE, but the trade and industrial education is the area we fall under. And we're one of the most job-ready programs out of high school. You can graduate high school, and Salter, is it after they take your class, about how many months? They have a few other certificates to get, but about how long does it take for them to be employed as a firefighter?
So thank you for asking that, Mr. McLam. It's actually, if they go through the whole process, Fire Tech 1, 2, and 3, now the standard has changed, so they only have to have one class, which is taught locally at the community college, and it's about a 36-hour class.
So by the end of the summer, they could basically be employed after they graduate high school, job ready.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Salter has such a connection with the local community and all the firefighters. You can't run into a firefighter that doesn't know Chris Salter. So it's nice to have him on that end doing firefighting. But the public safety class, like he talked about, is a prerequisite for his program. However, it's not a prerequisite for my law and justice program. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I want to talk more about the public safety. I have students to take my class that I send to Piedmont. They have a program and another firefighter there that students can go and take their classes, and then Sun Valley, and then the law and justice classes are at Monroe, Cuthbertson, and Porter Ridge. But the thing about the public safety class, even if the student's not interested in going into firefighting or law enforcement, the benefit of that class is that it is pretty much a career fair for all the public safety careers. I mean, that's the best way to put it. We spend a couple weeks, certain areas we spend more time on because there's just more information, but we cover all of the public safety careers. So even if a student's not interested in the career, they get to learn about those that they may come into contact one day, and just current events, what's going on out there. Also, another thing I'm finding is that students, even though they're not interested in those careers in this area, there's a lot of family members they have that are firefighters, police, retired in these careers. And by taking these classes, they get to learn a lot about some of what their family members have done. So like I say, it's a career fair, and we do case studies in each career, and we really get into detail. What Mr. Salter didn't mention is that in public safety, the students also have to earn 4 NIMS certificates. These are credentials through FEMA in National Incident Management. And they complete these online, and they're presented with an actual certificate from FEMA, which can be placed on a resume, or it is an accomplishment that will stay with them. If they go into firefighting or emergency management, it remains on their state. They kind of have a state record of these things.
And
So
Mr. McLam, can I add to that? They're also
do.
self-study. So they
Yeah.
are self-guided, self-paced.
Right. So we have some credentials there, just like the other ones. But to be specific, though, we do obviously we've been talking about the firefighting. We do the law enforcement. We do emergency medical services, careers in emergency management, and then the last thing the students do is apply a procedure to develop a personal plan for a career in this field. So the students, I find that they really like this class, and they can even go, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Davis, but well, I know they can, because I've had students from Weddington come take my public safety class. So it doesn't have to be the academy level, like law and justice or firefighting. They can take this prerequisite at another school. So that's pretty much the interesting thing about public safety. And if there's any questions about it, we'd be glad to ask at the end. And as far as the law and justice class, again, it's law and justice is no longer a prerequisite for public safety, but I will take a point of personal privilege here and just say that even though it's not a prerequisite, students that are in civics or have completed civics do a lot better in law and justice. So I would strongly recommend that they have civics or completed civics first, since it is a study on the criminal justice system, and it requires some foundations of how the government works. So
There's a question, if you don't mind me popping in real quick. They said, do they start these classes freshman year?
You can take public safety freshman year.
and you can take law and justice your freshman year, but I personally don't advise it until they've had civics. So let me know if that didn't answer their question.
No, she said thank you. That was great. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So in law and justice, a little bit about myself. Mr. Salter is a very experienced firefighter, and he still is. I graduated from Western Carolina. I have a degree in criminal justice, and I actually worked in a prison for 10 years. I worked my way up in the prison. I was a lieutenant, actually, and I was officer in charge at the prison in Albemarle for several years before I transferred to the probation office, and I was a probation officer for 10 years. So with that background, I have an extensive knowledge of the courts, the criminal justice system, sentencing, and everything that goes with this class. So let me just talk briefly about the blueprint for this class. Mr. Salter and I thought we might share our screens, but after seeing everyone else try it, we decided to give up. I hope the parents out there understand. We CTE a lot. We use Microsoft Teams a lot, so trying to use Zoom is new to us. I hope the parents out there understand that we've got it figured out. We just don't have it figured out on Zoom. Anyway, we're doing the best we can. So we weren't brave enough to try. So I hope you enjoy us just talking. The different subjects in my class is understand the careers within law and justice, because there's so many, and then understand the basic criminal justice system. How it works from beginning to end. We totally explore the criminal justice system, And the students really like that I'm able to give some personal experience on that. And the law and justice teacher at Porter Ridge, he has an extensive knowledge of the system too. He was he's been a sheriff deputy. He was an Orlando police officer for many years. So he is quite experienced in this too. And he was also a probation officer. He and I worked together. And the officer the person at Monroe is very good too, Mr. Sledge. He's very active with our lessons. We also understand basic criminal and constitutional law. I actually teach the kids how to look up answers. We do what if Wednesdays, where they actually will ask, what if, can police do this? What if, can police do that? And I tell them, I don't know, you tell me. And I make them go to websites like the UNC School of Government and read blogs from their attorneys that answer some of these questions, or I lead them straight to the general statutes, and they explore, and we have a lot of discussion in class back and forth, because in law and justice, there is no one right answer. The answer is always, it depends. And if you can answer, well, what does it depend upon? That's the answer to our discussion. So we do analyze basic criminal and constitutional law. We apply procedures to use and create police reports. So we'll be writing reports. Understand use of force. So I was an instructor with the Department of Public Safety, and I did teach our self-defense and our use of force, our firearms. And so we get into detail on the use of force continuum and what is excessive force, and how to appropriately use force, and what happens if you use excessive force. Apply procedures in approach and arrest of suspects. I have some training handcuffs. We do practice handcuffing, and we learn how those work, much like any tool of any trade. For the police officer, it would be handcuffs. Understand patrol operations, understand traffic codes and investigations, understand community policing, conflict resolution, and cultural diversity, understand sentencing and correctional issues. We do learn a lot about some issues with the different laws. We have several laws we have the laws that are prior to 1994, and then the laws changed in 2011 that we're dealing with now. And we learn about all of those. We also learn about agency administration and understanding ethics in law and justice. We just did ethics today, and that was a pretty good class. But that's also a state test. Public safety is a state test, and the law and justice class is a state test. And I think if you look at our county, our proficiency rates are actually pretty good in these two areas. If me and Mr. Salter might brag, right? So, yeah, we like to brag. So we had our moment there. We got to get that out. So, did we finish too early? Do we have enough? Is there any questions or?
There are some questions if y'all are ready for questions. Absolutely.
Good.
So I have two right now. So the first one, they wanted to know if there was a specific course, or do you just incorporate things for a lawyer and defense attorney?
A specific course. We usually look up current events, and then say there's a current event where someone gets pulled over for drunk driving, and we will look up the general statute on what is drunk driving, what are the elements, and what is the punishment. And then we will pull up the sentencing chart. I actually teach my students how to sentence just like the judge. When a person pleads guilty in court, and the plea bargaining, which we get into, is all worked out and it's all nice. It's in a little box that they plead to. I teach them how to use the box just like the judge, where you find the class of crime and then how many priors the person has, and then sentence that person within that box. So they learn a lot about sentencing and law. So they go, as far as cases and stuff, I lead them right to the source, which is the UNC School of Government and the North Carolina General Statute. That's where the law is.
Perfect.
And I will say, to echo on to what Mr. McLam said, I don't do the law and justice, but we do have a legal section in public safety. And prior to COVID, I would bring in a lawyer and they could ask all the questions. And he has agreed, or last semester, he agreed to sit in one of our Microsoft Teams meetings. So the students actually get to ask a real lawyer questions that they wouldn't. That seems to be really good for me, because I'd be the first to tell you, I don't know much about the law stuff. And so I go to somebody that does.
And one of the practical exercises we do, kind of like a lab, is when we get to search warrants, search and seizure, is I give the students an actual search warrant. They fill out a real search warrant. You can get the forms from the administrative office of the court, same place the police get them from. And I'll teach them what elements are needed to get a search warrant. And they actually fill the search warrant out, and the class will pick one, and I'll send a cell phone picture of that to one of the judges, and we'll get instant feedback. Say, hey, would you sign this? And so they actually, like Mr. Salter has real people come in. I like to have guest speakers and introduce them to the actual people working within the system.
Next question. We have a few more questions coming in. If someone wants to become a local police officer after high school, what is the best way to obtain the path and what they need to do?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Police officers have to be 21 to be certified by standards. So that is a very good question. I've been thinking about that for years. You're 18 when you graduate high school. What do you do for 3 years? One, you don't have to have a college degree to be a police officer, but some agencies now are promoting based on, they're hiring, but they're promoting based on if you have a degree or not. So I encourage college, a degree in criminal justice or something. If college isn't an option or that's not something someone wants to do, then maybe looking at getting a job with communications with CCOM as a dispatcher. You can be trained with them and start learning, how to talk on the radio and dispatch. And you can do that for 3 or 4 years and then go to be a police officer. So you need something to do until you're 21.
And I will echo on what Mr. McLam said. Law enforcement is typically the only pathway in public safety that you do have to be 21. The rest of them are 18 with with just a high school diploma.
Perfect. I think the question says, what schools is available at? I mean, kind of touched on it with the pathways. I don't know if you want to specify.
Law and Justice is at Monroe, Cupperson, and Porter Ridge. And firefighting is at Sun Valley and Piedmont.
That's correct.
Perfect. And then it says they want to know, do they have to apply to enter the actual program, or do they just sign up through the high school if it's already their home school?
I'll answer that one. Again, that goes back to our academy program that we have. So if that program is not offered at your school and it falls under our academy status, you can, and there is if you go to our Union County Public Schools, ucpscte.org site, under About, you'll see some information about an academy map, and you can see the academies that Union County CTE has. But you will apply with that application, and you can speak with your CDCs. They can help you with that. Again, we have a few of those in there if they'd like to chime in on that. But and some of those from the schools that have these programs. But complete that application, and then we will take that application, and if their seats are available, then we will work with the schools to place them at the schools. Again, transportation is provided by the student. We do not provide that at the school system, so they must be able to get there with their own transportation, since we cannot provide that.
Can I jump in real quick and just make sure that everybody knows Academy applications for next year is live. That can be found on the CTE's website. So those are now live. They can go ahead and start filling out those applications.
And in the chat, I am putting a link to the CTE website. Again, I'm kind of putting it every so often so that you can go there and check that out. Also, we still have about 8 more minutes. If you have questions, we can still take those. If we don't get to your questions, there's a link that says Expo questions. You can type them in there. We're going to type them up and put them on the website and get back to you on those. I did get one more. It says, so would they become students of the other school or just leave to go to that school from their home school?
That's a great question. for most of our academies, you're going to see that when they apply for the academy, they just travel to that school and take those classes there that are required for that pathway, but they will still be a part of their home school. The exception would be the Monroe Health Science Academy. And right now you would apply to go to that school because that program encompasses so many things that would be a transfer through Scribbles. And of course, Central Academy, those programs over there, you have to apply for CATA to be a part of most of those programs, with the exception of our automotive program. That does fall under that academy status where you can travel and take courses there. So what I would tell you to do, the best advice I can give you is have your children get to know the CDC at your school very well. We've got some of the top CDCs in North Carolina. I put them up against anybody, and they will do a great job of guiding your student down the road to getting to be a part of an academy if there's interest there.
If we're waiting on a question, there's one thing we forgot to mention was we have a student organization called Skills USA, which works a lot like FFA or DECA in your business classes or your ag classes. And I believe it's around April every year. We didn't have it last year because of COVID, and I don't know what the status. Well, I know they're not having it this year, I would bet. But one thing Mr. Salter and I, and other teachers were trying to do was organize our clubs to go and start being a part of these competitions. It's incredible the competitions that they have in Greensboro for this. The firefighters, they actually, have competitions on all the things. I see them climbing ladders, doing all those things firefighters do. And then they have the law and justice, where those students are arresting Greensboro police officers and being graded on their technique, and the officers are role playing back, and it's just really fun to watch, and the students have a great time with that. And I'm looking forward to getting that off the ground, because we're still a kind of a new program. So that's one of our main goals too, is to get that going, because that is a lot of fun.
And the last, it says, does law and justice begin at 9th grade? Because I know you kind of touched on that, but they wanted to know.
It does. There's no prerequisite, but I strongly caution a parent, until a student has had civics or they're in civics, it is a difficult class. The two build upon each other. I've actually seen students do quite well when they're in civics and taking law and justice, because they go to each class and they're like, oh yeah, I learned that in that class, and it just helps.
Any other questions? I don't have any more that came through on chat. If anyone wants to unmute and ask, we still have about 4 minutes.
All right, I want to thank Mr. McLam and Mr. Salter for participating today. I know it was a long day, late afternoon, so appreciate you providing some information about what you do. And we'll say these guys do a great job with students and helping them get some ideas of what they're going to need to do to be into a career in public safety. So some great opportunities there. And again, I want to just remind everybody, if you make sure your students get to know their career development coordinators, though they have an opportunity to kind of talk with them about the plan that they might have if they want to get into these academies. So with that being said, Ms. Widenhammer, it looks like you've unmuted. You want to add something there?
Yes, Brian, since we were talking about Fire Academy, and it was just in case we have any Piedmont students and parents, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Ms. Widenhammer, and I am at the CDC at Piedmont. I think most students know where I'm located, but I'm in the K building, and they can come and talk to me anytime, or feel free to email me anytime with your questions.
Thank you. And again, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. You guys are welcome to pop out. If we get any more questions that come in on our document, we'll catch up with you and get those answered so that we can have those posted in that document online. So with that being said, we've got about 3 minutes to a 3-minute break before we start our next session. We've got some of our family and consumer science teachers coming in there to talk about their program. So we'll be starting that right at 5 o'clock.
And I'll go ahead, if you don't mind, just kind of go through the order so that those teachers as well know. We're going to start with apparel and textile with Ms. Warren, counseling and mental health also with Ms. Warren, culinary arts will be with Ms. Washington, and then interior design with Ms. Goldberg. And each of you will have about 5 minutes per each section, and then we'll take questions.
Salter, I'll leave if you leave.
All right, I'm out. See ya.
All right, guys, we had fun. See y'all.
Got about 1 more minute and we'll go ahead and get started.
Ms. Warren, do you by any chance, do you need to share your screen or do you have a presentation?
I don't. I'm just.
That's fine. That works. Not a problem. Just trying to plan it out. All right, it's 5 o'clock, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Yeah, take it away. You're good.
Hi, my name is Anna Warren, and I teach at Forest Hills High School. I teach both apparel, textiles 1 and 2, and counseling and mental health. For apparel, it is a level 1 course and a level 2 course. It is the like fashion pathway. It starts out with like the history of fashion, so going through like all the decades and all the inventions that were brought about in the fashion industry. And they actually do get to sew in apparel 1 and 2. Sewing projects for apparel 1 could be anywhere from like mask, pencil pouches. We do keychains and lanyards. And then in apparel 2, we actually start making like clothing. I have my kids make pajama pants and aprons and shirts, and I had a girl make a cardigan. So just all those fun things. They get to be hands-on and they get to create and design. They get to learn how to sketch, all different types of clothing. And then for counseling and mental health, it is open for 10th graders. So you have to be a 10th grader or above to take counseling and mental health 1. But just for future reference, it focuses on individual mental health and how others affect mental health within like throughout the whole entire family life cycle. It teaches coping strategies and emotional like well-being within teens. And then towards the end and more into counseling and mental health 2, it goes into the like how to become part of the mental health field. So that's all about those. And then our CTSO is not family consumer science, FCCLA, which is Family Career Community Leaders of America. They do service projects, reaching out into the community, and it can be state and nationally affiliated. And that's all I have.
Perfect, good information. So next we're gonna have Ms. Washington with culinary arts. I think you have to share your screen.
I do, and I guess once we're finished making our jackets in Ms. Warren's class, we can just head on over to culinary, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm Ms. Washington. I am one of the teachers for the Culinary Arts Academy. We also have Elaine Templeton that is housed at Porter Ridge High School. We all know that food is a universal language that we all speak. The Union County Culinary Academy is built on that language of students satisfying their hunger to learn, like literally. We do have culinary at 2 locations, as I mentioned before. We have it at Porter Ridge and our newest location here at Sun Valley High School. Students with the foods and nutrition class experience, they do have the opportunity to learn the basics, and they can potentially be very successful in the Culinary Academy, as well as earn that National Restaurant Association Serve Safe credential, which is posted on the screen. We bring tons of experiences to the table, such as knife skills, cooking methods, food preparation, kitchen safety and sanitation, back of the house experiences, which is just basically food prep, as well as the front of the house procedures, maybe like managing staff, hosting, waitressing, things of that nature, and so much more. These invaluable experiences are definitely going to prepare our students for exciting and developing professions in the culinary industry. Culinary students, they do have the opportunity to work with mentoring chefs from the local area. And a couple of years ago, Sun Valley had the opportunity to work with Hell's Kitchen Season 13 winner, Chef Latasha Mack, which is posted on your screen here. She was able to do a couple of projects with the kids that they were hands-on with different types of recipes. As Ms. Warren mentioned in her presentation, we do have the same CTSO, FCCLA. This is our nonprofit student organization in which students, they do learn leadership skills, workplace skills, college and career opportunities through peer-to-peer education in a sense, any type of community engagement, and application of the skills that they're learning in our classrooms to actually have hands-on competitive experiences. Usually these opportunities that they have to compete at their regional and state levels, they do offer scholarship opportunities that the students are able to compete at the national level as well. And that sums it up for culinary. Bon appetit.
That was great. Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have Ms. Goldberg with interior design. And I think you need to share your screen as well, Ms. Goldberg.
Yeah, and Ms. Adcox, you'll have to wait until Ms. Washington stops sharing.
Yes. And one quick question, we know if we can kind of input this right now. The course, I believe they want to know about culinary, is offered to 9th grade.
Foods and Nutrition 1 will be recommended for our freshmen. However, if they do enroll in Foods and Nutrition 1 for the fall semester, they could potentially sign up for Culinary 1 in the spring.
Thank you. Perfect. So yes, Ms. Goldberg, you want to share your screen and we can go to interior design.
Okay, can you see it now?
No, ma'am. Let's see if we can try one more time.
All right, I'm not sure.
You hit the share screen, the bottom share screen, and it's pick which window. And then there's a blue share button after that, after you pick which window you want to show.
Okay, I did hit share. So I'm not able to, I don't know why it's not allowing me to do that. All right, well, I can just talk maybe, okay? So interior design, I teach at Porter Ridge High School. My name is Mrs. Goldberg, and this course engages students in exploring various interior design professions while building the content, knowledge, and technical skills to provide a foundational knowledge of the design industry. So we have Interior Design 1 and we have Interior Design 2. So in Interior Design 1, we focus on color theory, elements and principles design, hand sketching, floor plans, and space planning. And then in 2, we go more into the roofs and how to actually decorate. Our CTSO is also FCCLA, which I also run at my school, and we do mostly community service projects. I had some examples of projects, but that's not going to work because I don't know why I can't get it to work. And FCCLA helps you to prepare for the real world. It gives you, it has career pathways, and it teaches you leadership, and gives you skills for planning, goal setting, problem solving, decision making, and communication. Any other questions?
All right, so we do have a few questions that are coming in. So let me go in order. Go back. Someone wants to know if you can please expand on the textile portion of the apparel program, so that she didn't really hear it mentioned. So Ms. Warren, if you can do that for me.
Okay, so the textile portion, we do go into the differences in like the fibers and the yarns and things like that. They get to sew on all different types of fabric as well. And we also, we've tie-dyed before, we've done all those sorts of things as well. So they do get to learn more of the scientific, like the science behind it as well. So.
And the next question is going to be for Ms. Washington. For the culinary program, if a student is in the Cuthbertson cluster, at what point do they go to Sun Valley?
Mr. Davis, I'm not sure of how to respond to that.
Yep. So Kim Hayward is on. I'm gonna let her respond to that, but that's going to fall under our academy plan. So what we would encourage them to do is get into their foods programs. And as they start through those programs, then they can get into our academy program, and they would be coming to in their junior and senior year. Kim, I'm gonna let you unmute and let you talk a little bit about that in more detail.
Okay, thanks, Brian. As far as the Culinary Arts Academy, we do have it available at Porter Ridge and at Sun Valley. So the way it works is the first level course would be foods and nutrition. That is taught at all of our high schools. So students can take that at any high school. The second course is our Culinary 1. That also is an introductory course, and that can be taught at any of our high schools. It's not until the students want to take Culinary 2 and progress a little bit further that it has to be taught per the state's requirements in a commercial kitchen. We do have those commercial kitchens at Porter Ridge and at Sun Valley. So that is why those students would have to travel as part of the academy for the Culinary 2 and Culinary 3 level classes. They would apply for the academy and would have to provide their own transportation their junior or senior year to attend those classes. And the benefit of that is you get to attend those classes in that beautiful kitchen that we saw behind Melissa when she talked, because believe it or not, that is her classroom that she is in. And maybe if we have time, she can show us a little bit more. But that is how it works. So the first 2 courses are at every high school.
I have a question. It says, I'm sorry, let me go back. I did not see interior design pathway as part of Weddington High School cluster. Is it offered for freshmen, and should the student travel to Porter Ridge? Who wants to take it?
I'll be happy to answer it since it's consumer science and it's an academy.
Yes.
As far as interior design, students have the option to register for those courses. They, as a student at Weddington, they can register for the Interior Design 1 or Interior Design 2 course. Typically in the past, we have not had that course taught at Weddington. That doesn't mean that it won't be taught there in the future. It's basically driven off of student requests and student need. However, if the student has a strong desire to attend those classes, that is something that we can allow for them to travel for an academy for their, junior and senior year, just like we do the others.
Any other questions in there?
I don't have right now. I'll wait and see.
And if anybody's in there and would like to unmute, feel free to ask the teachers directly questions. And while we're waiting, Melissa, can you take your computer and kind of spin it around a little bit and show off that brand new kitchen you've got in there?
Well, Brian, if you insist. This was well-deserved, long-awaited. I'm really excited that the kids had the opportunity to work with the culinary and commercial equipment. That definitely gives on that hands-on experience instead of just having a conversation about it, actually just putting their hands on it, really getting into it. So it's from wall to wall. Every 4 corners of this room has a nice little hidden gem our 3-compartment sink, dishwasher, food prep area. We have our commercial freezers and refrigerators in the back. We also have a commercial slicer. The Hobart mixers are on every single table for the students. And I guess this is a COVID surprise that they're automatically social distancing because they do have their own workstations here. The back area here, this is our laundry room and storage pantry area. The kids, they have an ice machine that they have full access to. And we're the only school in the county that has a CBAT machine. And the CBAT machine is just used to keep hot foods hot, and you can actually make foods in this, store foods for up to 6-8 hours if you needed to. In the inside, we have different shelves and stuff in here. The temperature goes all the way up to 500 degrees. Have our food prep area here, and that's it.
Perfect. That's amazing. We do have a couple more questions. I'll go ahead and ask the culinary one first, since we already have Ms. Washington on the screen. It says, what could we do with graduating from all the culinary classes? What is possible straight out of high school coming through your program?
Possibilities are endless. I guess that's going to depend on the passion and interest of the student. That's partly my job to kind of see what direction they are maybe most proficient in a sense. You may be interested in pastry, but I think that your savory side may be your strongest point. So that observation, the practical learning experiences that the other teachers have discussed as well, that gives us teachers that opportunity to just kind of showcase that actual passion and potential that students are displaying in class.
Perfect. And I know we've spoken a little bit, but someone had asked a more specific for interior design pathway. So kind of what does that pathway look like? Is it only the 2 classes, and are they semester or year long? Does anyone want to take that?
We do teach Interior 1 and Interior 2. They're both half-year classes. And I guess you could take drafting after that. Is that right, Ms. Howard?
There is an interior design applications, which is the 3rd level. However, we have not taught that at our high schools because of student interest. We have not had enough students that have wanted to progress all the way through interior design to the 3rd level, enough to be able to make a class to support a teacher teaching it. But there are 3 levels. But I do think drafting is a great fit also, Ms. Goldberg, and that's a good point to make, is that just because we're talking about a certain class, there's a lot of classes that fit well as partners in regards to several of our programs. And drafting is a great fit that goes along with our interior design program. And, you know, we're going to hear more about drafting later in the week, I believe, if you're interested. But several of our schools have drafting, and that is a great match for students who have an interest in the interior program to also pursue the drafting program.
And in interior design too, they are preparing an online portfolio. So if they're interested in becoming an interior designer, they do have a portfolio that will be available to them at the end of the course.
And I also put a link in there. Someone was asking in general about pathway progressions and academy information. So there is the link to our CTE website, and that provides all of the different categories and information regarding those pathways as well.
I want to chime in there too, Karen. There's another tool in there. Of course, we've got our CDCs. For those of you who have just joined us, you always encourage your students to get to know your career development coordinator at your school. We have one every school, and they do a great job of helping guide students into the pathways that they need to be in, and being able to answer those questions about things like academies. So if they're interested in those type of things, it's a great place to start. The other thing that I want to mention is our program we have called Major Clarity. Major Clarity is a great way for students to go in and learn more about what kind of things interest them. Also lets them learn about their learning styles. And by doing these simple assessments, it starts letting them see what careers may be in the right path for them. On that same note, they can go in there. There is a program planner in there where they can look at courses, and they can start plotting in some courses in there, and it can kind of help them see what courses would fall in the progression of things that they're interested in. So if they're interested in Foods 1 and they want to go to Culinary 1 and those type of things, it will show that in there. So it's a great place just to kind of start, learn more about not only the careers and do some assessments and do some activities, but a good place for them to start looking at some of the courses that we have and planning those out. So just throwing that out there. Any student in Union County that's a 6th through 12th grader has access to that. And that program is accessed through Clever on MyNC Ed Cloud. So they should be able to have that. If anybody has any questions about Major Clarity, again, have them reach out to the career development coordinator at the school, or they can shoot us an email.
Perfect. And we have a couple of questions I'm going to combine for culinary and foods. They want to know, in those courses, do you learn about pastries and then also about owning and managing your own restaurant?
So those are great questions. We'll back it up. In Foods 1, kids are taught the introduction to food and the basic knowledge of food. In Culinary 1, then that's when they're kind of exposed to hospitality and tourism, beginning those basics in a sense. In Culinary 2, students, they begin to explore different types of techniques as well as flavors, and those are on both ends of the spectrum. Those are sweet as well as savory. And that way kids are exposed to both of them so they can have that experience of their preference over the other. And in Culinary 3 and 4, this is going to be the most hands-on of all of our culinary courses here at the Culinary Academy, where students are given the opportunity to acquire real-life skills in management as well as customer service in that commercial food prep area. And just as Ms. Hayward was mentioning before with collaborating with other program areas, we've done it in the past with drafting, where they have made us 3D prints of cookie cutters. We've teamed up with marketing, where they actually did the promo and the menu prints for us when we start selling food items for our entrepreneurship projects. We team up with agricultural. We have done it with interior design. We have done it with apparel. I mean, just kind of promoting ourselves in a sense.
You're muted, Miss Adcock.
Yep, I am muted. Click the wrong button. So if they're in the Parkway cluster, when would they need to go to Sun Valley or Forest Hills for culinary? At what point?
I want to say that starting Culinary 3 and 4, Kim, is that correct?
It would start with Culinary 2, and it would be Porter Ridge or Sun Valley would be the commercial kitchens, because the state curriculum for Culinary 2 does require a commercial kitchen. So students would apply for that academy through our website when they're a junior or senior, and then they would be scheduled. Typically, we teach those academy level classes, either first block or fourth block, to allow the student to travel and to take those courses. An example would be if you have a student that is at Cuthbertson that's interested in doing it, and they apply and we place them, they would take, for example, Culinary 2 first block at Sun Valley. So that morning they would drive to Sun Valley. They would have their first block at Sun Valley. When that block is over, they would get in the car and they would drive back to their home school of Cuthbertson. We schedule an online class for that second block to allow them travel and some cushion in their travel time. When they return to Cuthbertson, then they immediately go into their second block, third block, fourth block, and finish out the day. We place according to, we don't place according to location, we place according to space available. So if you're a Cuthbertson student and Porter Ridge is the only school that has space available, then unfortunately that would mean that you would go to Porter Ridge for that course instead of Sun Valley, because there's no space available. So that's the one thing, students can't specify which academy location they want to go to. Ideally, if we have space in both schools, we're going to send them to the closest one. Sometimes, but it just doesn't work that way.
We have several more. We'll get as many as we can. I've already told them on the chat. We'll get as many as we can in 8 minutes, and then the rest they can type it on that document that I just posted the link to. So someone wanted to know if there were, make sure I'm on the right one. Can students who are in the interior pathway get a certificate of any sort? If there's a credential or certificate for that.
The only credential that's available in interior is in the third level, and it's a Autodesk credential. However, as Ms. Goldberg alluded to when she spoke, the students in Interior 2 do put together a full portfolio of their work that they would be able to, share with others to show what all they've done and everything they've learned. However, as far as an industry credential, there is not an industry credential until the third level.
And I'm getting several questions from different people that I don't mind answering as well, instead of having to reply to each one. A lot of people are wanting to know if they offer a certain, specific class at a certain school. I'll be honest, in general, with all our level 1 courses, it's basically comes down to, enrollment. If we have enough students and a teacher for that area, then that kind of dictates that. But a lot of them are wanting to know, is interior offered at their specific school? Are culinary courses semester or year long?
They're all semester. Every one of them now is a semester course.
And we have one question that's going to actually will lead us later at 5:30 into our next session. It says, would a 9th grader start if they're interested in interior design, or would they wait until their junior year to do that? And if they do wait until their junior year, would that keep them from completing an internship? Which I know we'll be speaking on internships at 5:30. But is that something they would start as a freshman?
They could start it as a freshman. There's no reason they couldn't. And if they wanted to take interior 2, then they could take after interior 1. And then if they were interested in an internship, that would obviously give them a little more time to do that.
I think I covered, if I missed one, I apologize. There's lots of things are coming in, but I think I've gotten all the questions answered on the chat. If anyone wants to add another one really quick, or if you want to unmute and ask a teacher, that would be great.
How do you find the document with all the questions and answers on them?
All right, so we don't have that document yet. The document is just where you can type a question that maybe we didn't get to today. And then we're going to be answering those questions and having those put on the website. And I can go ahead and send the website link once again, if you'd like.
Thank you.
All right. With that being said, it sounds like we've kind of came to the end. I want to thank our 3 teachers for participating. I know you guys have been busy all day, and I appreciate you working late and speaking with parents and giving some information out. So great job on that. We have our next session, which is going to be our work-based learning coordinators, which is Miss Adcock and Miss Hunt. They're going to be talking a little bit about what they do with our internships and other work-based learning opportunities. We're going to give them about 5 minutes to take a quick break. And then we will start right at 5:30, and that will be our final session for the day. And while we wait, I would encourage you, if you have time, check out our website. There's some great videos to really explore our programs. It's a great opportunity to take a few minutes to look at that.
Thank you for the opportunity, Brian.
Yeah, thank you again. You did a great job.
Have a good one.
You too. We got about 3 minutes to our next session on work-based learning starts. So we got about 3 minutes, and so we're going to give a few minutes for people to join in case they're just now joining us. So we'll be starting shortly. All right, we got about 1 more minute. We're going to be starting a final session of the evening. I've had a few more people joining here for this session, so I'm going to give everybody just a few more seconds to get started. All right, with that being said, it's right at 5:30, so I want to go ahead and introduce Karen Adcock and Jeannie Hunt. They're two of the work-based learning coordinators for Union County Public Schools. They work with our internships and other work-based learning opportunities that we have, and they work with all of our schools at our district. And I want to give them just a little bit of time to talk about that program and what students can expect with that and what it looks like, when can they start, and all those things that we've been getting questions on. So going to turn it over to them. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I will respond to those and make sure that we answer those questions. If you have any questions that you would like to ask verbally, we will give you time to do that, and you can unmute and ask them directly. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen, let her get started.
She's going to share her screen and go.
We good? Okay. What we want to do today is just go through the basics of primarily the internship program, tell you a little bit about it, and then and where students can apply, and then we'll take any questions at the end, as Brian said. The reason we have the internship program is that in career and technical education, we believe that it's really important for students to have as much hands-on experience as they can in order to determine what career path they may want to follow. As far as the internship program goes, most of our internships are unpaid, though we do not turn down money. So if we do have an opportunity where a company wants to pay the interns, then that is certainly fine with us. It does not prevent a student from participating, whether it's paid or unpaid. We have grown to the point that in a normal year, we have many applications. and are starting to be somewhat limited in the businesses that we have available for certain areas. So as we receive applications, we rank those applications based on the internship criteria that we'll go over in just a minute, and then start placement based on the satisfying that program criteria. We do believe there are many benefits to the student. Probably the main one is to get a realistic view of a career field. We all know that many of students' ideas of what a career field is like is shaped by either experience within their family or what they see on TV. And many of them find out what they see on TV and the real world are two very different things. So we like for them to see the real thing in action. We also think it's important to connect what they're learning in school with career opportunities. So they see the value, not just in their career and technical education courses, but in their core courses as well. You know, how is math used? How is English or writing used in the real world? It helps them to make more informed decisions about their post-secondary education or training. Students go into, after they've completed an internship, they go into that experience, the post-secondary experience, with a little bit more knowledge, understanding of the relevance of their courses to that particular field. Helps them gain experience, obviously, and also to make contacts. I tell a lot of students that you never know when you're going to see these people again. The person you're working with may be the person sitting across from you at the interview desk one day. So it helps them to learn how to network, also to get perhaps some references, people that they can turn to if they need someone to vouch for their work experience.
All right, so this will be the criteria for participation, and these are the things that we will look at. Senior during their school year or rising senior for summer. They've successfully completed 2 CTE courses in the same career cluster. For example, Health Science 1, Health Science 2, that would be for the medical, marketing applications, etc. So if you go through and look at the pathways that we have, you need to do 2 in the same area. We do give preference to those, obviously, that have taken the second level CTE class. Also, if they've completed the coursework in the internship field that they're going to be going into. So that would be the goal. No more than 7 absences in any semester for the current and past 2 school years. We do know that things come up. You know, we do chat with the student if they apply and there's an issue with that we would be more than happy to talk to them. But I'll just be honest, if a student has, you know, a habitual habit of not going to school, we do not want to place them in a business because, you know, it just looks bad for the program. And obviously we'd be worried about their hours. No suspensions, that's ISS or OSS, or serious disciplinary incidents. Yet again, we're putting these students into a business and they're representing Union County Public Schools, so we just try to be extra careful. Reliable transportation, so we do not provide transportation to and from internships. Minimum 2.5 overall GPA. They need to be able to attend at least 8 hours per week. They do not have to go every day. We actually don't recommend that they go every day for an hour or an hour and a half. They need to be there long enough to gain that experience. We prefer them to go at least maybe 3-4 days a week, and then they can go in 3 or 4 hour chunks. And then last but not least, positive feedback on teacher and counselor references. We do have a CTE teacher and then a core teacher or guidance counselor fill out a reference sheet on the student. This is more soft skill related. Are they dependable, responsible, and those sort of things.
We have 2 different types of internships available to students, and pretty much they're the same program. The main difference is when they can do it and the time frame. I will talk first of all about the flex internship. The flex internship is called that because it is flexible. There is a minimum of 68 hours required, and of that 50 contact hours. So they have to physically go or participate in their internship for 50 hours. The difference about from the flex internship from a typical course is that the flex can be completed at any point in time and started at any point in time. So for example, if there's a student who maybe has participates in a winter sport that spans from first to second semester, and they don't have the ability to complete an internship either first or second semester, they may want to do it during the summer. They may want to do it during the first part of the school year or the last part of the school year. So this program is not bound by the school calendar. So you can start and stop at any point. If a lot of times I'll have a student who has a really, really hard or challenging schedule for their senior year, those students also typically will look to doing the internship during the summer. So basically the flex internship is completed at any time that school is not in session. So we're talking about weekends, time off from school, school breaks, work days, summer, etc. Flex internship, the grade is entered directly onto the transcript after it is completed. So students will not see this on their class schedule. They will not see it on the report card. When they're finished, we finish the grade, we send the information to the data manager at the school, and it goes directly on the transcript. It shows up same as a semester internship as far as what it's called. The different courses have different names for the internship. One difference between the flex and semester is the flex is not factored into GPA calculation. You will still see the course, the grade, and they do get elective credit, but the grade is not factored into calculation. So 68 hours will get a student a half unit of credit. Sometimes students will go on to complete enough for a full credit. And occasionally we'll have a student maybe that does 2 different types of flex internships. So they'll have 2 half credit, which will equal to a full credit. Application deadlines for flex internships. If a student wants to complete an internship during the summer, then we cut it off at April 30th. So they have to have their application in by April 30th. That gives us time to be sure they're qualified and to satisfy any requirements that a particular company may have. For a school year, students can apply anytime up to about January 15th. Anytime after that, you're not going to have enough time left in the semester to complete the internship. And Karen will tell you a little bit about the semester internship, which is what most of our students do.
Yeah, semester is by far the most, I won't say popular, but it's the most signed up for course. It is just like any other class. It is an elective course that they will take. They will be leaving early. So typically after third block, there's 4 blocks in a day. So after third block, they will get a release block. They do need to get a minimum of 135 hours. Of those 135, 100 must be on site at their internship location. Then they have to earn the other 35 by doing weekly assignments that we'll discuss near the end. Placement must be confirmed before internship is added to class schedule. This is a big thing. Some people, get nervous because they can't find where to register for an internship. This is something that's an application. So they will not register when it comes to registration in February, March, whenever that comes about. They will apply. They will speak with either myself or Ms. Hunt. And then from there, when we get a confirmation to an internship location, we will email their counselor and we'll get their schedule fixed. It is completed during first or second semester, like I said, with 1 release block. Their grade will be on the report card, just like any other elective course would be. Their grade that they earn will be calculated into the GPA. So they earn 1 unit of credit. It is not honors level, so it would be calculated accordingly. And then application deadlines. So you can notice that for first semester, we need that turned in by May 1st of the prior year. If they're going to do it for second semester during their senior year, it would be October 1st for medical or October 15th for non-medical. Currently, I do all non-medical. Ms. Hunt does medical. And the reason she needs hers in about 2 weeks before is because they require different documentation than mine would. I think that's about it on mine.
The application process, again, we take applications, we do have them online, and you can get to the link through the CTE, ucpscte.org website, which we've been talking about all afternoon. Occasionally students will arrange their own internship, and that is fine. We love for you to do that. There is a place on the application to fill in details. We do need contact information for someone for us to contact at the business, because a lot of times students don't know all the details of what's required. And so we actually talk to the business and be sure that they are able to provide the student with the amount of hours and with the experience that would be valuable for them. If you are if you're a student who is interested in medicine specifically, if it's at Atrium, any Atrium Health or Novant Health facility, which would include doctor's offices, physical therapy offices, hospitals, etc., I have to have a copy of the current vaccination record. Without that, the application is not complete. There's a lot of documentation that is required, and it's different for each facility. So I do need that to see where our starting point is, so I can let the student know what else that they need to get. And I'll be glad if someone's interested, I can go into a little bit more detail about that later on. For places like a dentist's office or some physical therapy offices, such as architect, sports, and physical therapy, they do not, as a rule, require vaccination records. So it's really mainly the Novant and Atrium. Occasionally I'll have another one, but it is very important that I get a copy of that vaccination record to complete the application. Sometimes we do have situations where the business wants to interview the student. Sometimes it's a matter of we have more students that are interested than we have spots at a particular place. So in that case, they would interview just like they would for a job, and the business would select which student they want to work with. Other times it may be just an individual student that wanting to place at a location, and they just want to talk to the student to be sure that it's a good fit. And so that's one of the most important things for us is, and we try to communicate with the business, with the student, to be sure it is a good fit. And then you can see at the bottom, we have the application deadlines once again.
I know we had mentioned earlier about Major Clarity, and that's something we kind of want to instill again here. Major Clarity is a program that we are using. It's new. We're getting it up and running. So at some point in the very, very near future, we're going to have all of our applications posted on that site. So all students will be directed to Major Clarity. We are going to break it up by category. So you will see a business marketing internship, medical, IT, etc. There will be a general internship, so possibly there's a career that doesn't cover one of the main ones that we place. Does not mean that students cannot apply, and then we'll have that link as well. So just know that's kind of down the pipeline. So on this screen, we talk about required assignments. We just like students to understand that the internship is not just going to the place and doing the hours. They do have weekly assignments. It is ran just like, well, now they're used to virtual school. Used to ours was unique and then it was all virtual, but now it's not. But it's all virtual, it's all on Canvas. They have weekly assignments, and we go over everything in order of what they need to do. So these are some of the assignments that we asked of them. The one I really want to point out, though, the very end says capstone project. That will be their final exam. So instead of taking a written final exam, we have them do a comprehensive cumulative PowerPoint or presentation about their experience, and then they share it with us and all the other interns for that semester.
There are a couple of a few other work-based learning programs in Union County Public Schools. Again, the majority of students do participate in the internship program. That's why we have focused on that. But we do have cooperative education, and that's for students typically in a marketing class that has a relevant job at the same time. And they can get out early, go to their job, and then they have assignments that connect what they learn in their class to what they're experiencing on the job. We have pre-apprenticeship, which is primarily in some of the trades areas. And Brian, I may have you talk a little bit more about that if anyone's interested in that. And then there are some of our programs that have a work-based learning component as just a part of the course of study. And examples of those are CNA, which is the Certified Nursing Assistant, and then the Vet Assisting courses. So students taking those courses may have the opportunity to participate in very focused work-based learning activities for that specific field. Again, CTE website has information on all of these programs, as well as all of the CTE course offerings. And then we're glad to answer any questions that you may have. Our contact information is there. It's on our website as well. The school's career development coordinator can answer most of your questions as well. So if you're a child or if you're a student and you have questions, that's a good place to start. They know the process, but you can also feel free to contact us directly.
And Jeannie, I can touch on those pre-apprenticeship programs. Basically, what we've got really two pre-apprenticeship programs. One is through the Advanced Manufacturing Program or pathway, and those students who are interested in that, they work with South Piedmont Community College and go into their program, and that program is through them. Ultimately, what they do is they have the opportunity to go to work, get paid, take some community college courses, as well as work their way toward an associate's degree. We also have a new program that we're working on. We are waiting on approval, but I foresee it coming relatively soon. That is going to be owned by Union County Public Schools, which is a pre-apprenticeship program in HVAC through our program at Parkwood High School. So we have that as an opportunity. That program will lead into a brand new apprenticeship program at South Piedmont Community College. Students who participate in that program will have an opportunity to get free college tuition at South Piedmont Community College if they qualify. So there will be more information coming out on those. So we would love for you to again reach out to your career development coordinator at your school for more information on some of those programs. If you can also reach out to Jeannie and Karen on any of these work-based learning opportunities like internships and things like that. So they do a great job for our district in providing opportunities for our students.
Okay. Are there any questions? Brian, were there any questions on the chat?
I've got one asking about whether they can access these slides. We are recording this, so you will be able to go back and watch this recording again. We will be posting these on the CTE high school programs website in the near future. So just be on the lookout for that, and you can go and see all the information that was presented today.
And there's also a fact sheet that the career development coordinators have at school that they'd be happy to give out to students as well. And it contains the same information that we went over on the slides.
Any other questions? If you have them, feel free to put them in the chat or unmute, and you feel free to ask our two ladies here. We've got a few minutes left. They're willing to stay and answer some questions.
I do want to mention, maybe some people have a question about how things are going in the COVID world. And needless to say, our internships are quite limited. As I said, I deal with the medical students, and pretty much they're not letting high school students in the facility. So, and very much limiting college students as well. So we typically have a high demand for students in the medical field and all the different medical fields. Hopefully that will open up a little bit more this summer and next school year, but that's just something we'll have to play by ear. I will mention that we're already taking applications. We've received applications already for next school years for summer, first and second semester. So if you are a student or if you have a student who may be interested, I would encourage you to go ahead and to submit that application. Part of the criteria is turning in your application early. So it's not a huge part, but it can tip it one way or the other. So we do have that available if students are interested now.
Karen, I do have one question that came in for you. What internship is offered for interior design students?
Okay, so what we do, and we do get this question quite a bit. A lot of people want to know what companies we place kids at or what careers we offer. What I think I love about our program is that we don't have a specific list. We do have partners that we work with on a continuing basis. However, they're on the application, it's going to ask you what career that student is interested in. That's where they put what they want to do, and that's like their ideal, career choice. At that point, myself or Ms. Hunt, we do sit down, we speak with the kids, trying to figure out exactly what they want to do after high school and what their plans are. So we love getting to know them that way. And then we try to place them. So I am not above cold calling. I think everybody knows that. I will cold call somewhere and I will introduce our program and try to get students in. Sometimes it can be a hard sell to get a high school student in a business for 100 hours. And then other companies, they're extra willing. So don't, hesitate. If you go on Major Clarity, and that's yet again, we plug that one more time, we're going to have partners in there. There's a list in Major Clarity of the partners that we have used in the past. I love that we have that list started. However, that is not a comprehensive list. What that means is it doesn't mean that it's, your career is not listed on there, that we won't place you. It just means we haven't had one yet. And that's when I'll go out, I'll find a business, and hopefully that'll start a new partnership for us. So yeah, don't hesitate to try something new or to be, a different internship than we've had in the past.
Now, one thing we want everyone to understand as well is there are some career fields, and you mentioned interior design, and that's one of them. A lot of the computer fields now are with people working out of their homes, and we do not place students in homes, someone's home. So sometimes we are limited by what is available in that particular field just due to the nature of the field. That's not to say we won't call around and ask, because there are places that, like for interior design, furniture stores, places like that do have interior designers. So there are options out there, but just realize that there's some fields that are a little bit more difficult than others just by the nature of how they operate.
All right, any other questions? Well, I first want to say thank you to Ms. Hunt, Ms. Adcock for all the help today, and they've been on a long time and done a great job explaining work-based learning and some of the things that we do. If you think of a question that maybe you haven't asked and it comes up later, we do have a form that you can fill out, a document. I'm going to put a link to that in the chat, and you can put those questions in there, and we will go through and answer those sometime in the next few days and try to get those posted on the website. So you'll have those once we get them compiled for the week. So I am posting that now. And again, one last call. If you have any questions and would like to answer those, or like for us to have those answered right now, feel free to unmute or post into the chat. All right, great. So it sounds like we've got everybody answered. So at this time, I'm going to end the meeting. Again, thank you guys for everyone for participating, parents, students, as well as staff. It was a great evening, and I want to remind everybody that we have sessions every afternoon this week, except for Friday, and on Saturday morning. So make sure you're checking the schedule. I did post that in the chat. So please register if you have not done so, if you see some things that are interested for you and your students. So again, have a great evening, and thank you for participating.